Start with a point. It has no measurable characteristics. It represents the zeroth dimension. To imagine the first dimension, draw a point outside of the first point. The infinite multitude of points connecting these two points represent the first dimension, length. By drawing a line outside our first line leads us to the second dimension, a plane. The creatures in a world like that would see each other as one-dimensional cross-sections of their two-dimensional selves, just like we see two-dimensional cross-sections of our three-dimensional world. Now to enter our third dimension, a multitude of planes need to stack on each other. So what is the fourth dimension? Let's use a flipbook as an example. Each frame represents the current state of a two-dimensional world, and each following frame represents its state in the future. Thus, the time for the second dimension is in the third dimension, because we travel through it to see the next picture, or in other words, have time. Following this logic, our world at its current state is a three-dimensional cross-section of itself on the fourth dimension that represents time. To imagine the fourth, fifth and sixth dimension, we can visualize them as the first, second and third dimension correspondingly. To imagine the fifth dimension, let's imagine the whole fourth dimension as a line segment, with the beginning of the universe on one end and the end of the universe at the other. To make a plane, we need other lines representing the fourth dimension branching out from the first one. They represent every possible path for our universe from the current moment on, which is described by the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. But, as you see, the fifth dimension is limited by causality. That is, I cannot be in a world where Stephen Hawking is still alive. Unfortunately, it is not one of the possible outcomes from my current universe. However, a world like that exists, and it is on a different 5D plane with its own multitude of possible outcomes. Thus, we enter the sixth dimension, containing all the infinite timelines for our universe since the Big Bang. So how do we get further than infinity? We look at a different infinity. If we imagine the whole sixth dimension as a point on a 7D line, then a different point could represent a universe with different starting conditions, such as a faster or slower speed of light. But to imagine other physical constants as being different, we need to exit the bounds of the 7D line and imagine an 8D plane with another 7D line representing another physical constant, such as gravity. This way we enter the 8th dimension, where every physical universe with all possible values for its unique physical constants exists. So now that we have every possible universe with its every possible outcome in the 8th dimension, what is the 9th? We imagine other 8D planes outside of our 8D plane, and they could contain completely different physical laws unlike ours, and different universes with all their possible values. To enter the 10th dimension, there needs to be another 9D point outside of ours, but there is nowhere else left to go. The 9th dimension encompasses every possible universe and every impossible universe, with its own infinite timelines, and every information pattern is contained within it. This is what the 10th dimension supposedly is, and nothing, everything, timeless, unchanging, absolute infinity, which is also an absolute zero, and everything arises from the breaking of its symmetry, quite like when -4 is subtracted from 0, it results in 4.